We weren't environmentally minded folks at all.
Our family farm has always been owned by Treml.
It was my husband's great-grandpa's house. We turned on our tap and we had cow manure coming out of our tap. Our water became contaminated with manure runoff. My little one was 6 months old.
Bringing your 6-month-old daughter to the emergency room to find out she has E. coli poisoning, it was horrible, and trying to protect my wife from it.
It was our home and we had to do something.
Getting a law passed in the state legislature that banned the manure spreading activity that caused the harm to our family led for protection for other people in our community and the state.
We've started seeing the proliferation of livestock factories across Wisconsin, and part of the problem with the practices going on in the state during the probably past 15 years is that it was perfectly legal to spread liquid manure on frozen and snow-covered ground. And what happened with that is, so you've got soil that's frozen, and when the top starts to melt, the liquid manure just runs off and goes to the lowest point, which may be a sinkhole into groundwater, someone's drinking water, or it might be a creek. Late winter, February, March, early spring, we kept hearing about fish kills and wells getting contaminated from this practice. And one year we got a call from the Treml family, Scott and Judy Treml, right after their well had been contaminated.
Our groundwater that was coming into our house was contaminated with cow manure.
The water that came out of their well smelled like manure, and it was brown. But before that happened, before they had the smell and the visual cue to not drink it, contaminants were coming through.
Groundwater can look clean, like we found out can look clean. We bathed our daughters in it that Sunday night. My little one was 6 months old. She was sucking on a wash rag, and 5 days later she was in the hospital.
Waking up at 3 in the morning, bringing your 6-month-old daughter to the emergency room to find out she has E. coli poisoning, coming home and not exactly telling your wife the truth of what the possible outcomes are. Kidney failure, death. It's incurable. You either fight it or you don't.
The Tremls had lived in a rural part of Wisconsin all of their lives. They had grown up around farming, and they didn't want to sue their neighbors. That's not what this was about. They wanted to protect their family.
It was horrible, and trying to protect my wife from it. If we can prevent one more family from going through that, and just getting the equal protection we all deserve.
We had documented manure runoff of the field across the road from our house. It was a local CAFO, concentrated animal feeding operation, was spreading liquid manure in end of February on 18 inches of snow and melting conditions. Our neighbors across the road near the field had come over to our house and showed us their water, and it was black and it looked like the manure that was being spread. And my husband had been working with the DNR about issues from this farm for a while, so he took the water on her behalf and called the DNR and asked for help, and they wouldn't do anything.
In Wisconsin, there's a law known as the right to farm law, in which most farmers take protection in, that if you're there first, you can pretty much do what you want to do.
The DNR had said they wouldn't do anything, and that his spreading met the conditions of his permit, but there was cow manure coming out of our tap, and obviously it didn't meet the conditions of his permit. It was running off the field.
The DNR at that time didn't think it had the tools to effectively stop livestock factories from spreading liquid manure on frozen ground, which was the practice that led to the contamination of the Treml's well.
It was a farm, my husband's great-grandpa's house. We remodeled it. It was where we wanted to bring our children up, and we had to stay there. It was our home, and we had to do something.
We wanted to help the Tremls to restore their rights to clean water. And we also thought that it would raise awareness amongst others in the state that this was a public health issue and it needed to be addressed.
They saw there was an injustice. They saw the local government, state government would not back us on a clear violation of the Clean Water Act. And they backed us, and they backed us in the community, ultimately getting a law passed in the state legislature that banned the manure spreading activity that caused the harm to our family.